Hey, welcome to episode 5 of Robert's Butchered Paraphrase. Sorry it's taken so long again. This has been a rather rough episode to get prepped for because God's been dealing with me about a lot and how to present it and exactly what to present. I want to read some scriptures to you. I've got 4 separate passages. I will include the addresses to these in the comment section this time. So if you want to go back and look at them for yourself in your preferred translation, that'll be fine. I'm reading from the easy to read version again. First one we're going to start with is Matthew 24. We're going to go verses 9 through 13. Then you will be arrested and handed over to be punished and killed. People all over the world will hate you because you believe in me. During that time, many believers will lose their faith. They will turn against each other and hate each other. Many false prophets will come and cause many people to believe things that are wrong. There will be so much more evil in the world that the love of most believers will grow cold. But the one who remains faithful to the end will be saved. I want to move on with the next two, and we'll discuss these for just a minute, and then we'll cover the last one. 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. In the past, there were false prophets among God's people. It is the same now. You will have some false teachers in your group, and they will teach things that are wrong, ideas that will cause people to be lost, and they will teach in a way that will be hard for you to see that they are wrong. They will even refuse to follow the master who bought their freedom, and so they will quickly destroy themselves. Many people will follow them in the morally wrong things they do. And because of them, others will say bad things about the way of truth we follow. These false teachers only want your money, so they will use you by telling you things that are not true. But the judgment against these false teachers has been ready for a long time, and they will not escape God, who will destroy them. Finally, 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Remember this, there are some terrible times coming in the last days. People will love only themselves and money. They will be proud and boast about themselves. They will abuse others with insults. They will not obey their parents. They will be ungrateful and against all that is pleasing to God. They will have no love for others and will refuse to forgive anyone. They will talk about others to hurt them and will have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. People will turn against their friends. They will do foolish things without thinking and will be so proud of themselves. Instead of loving God, they will love pleasure. And they will go on pretending to be devoted to God, but they will refuse to let that devotion change the way they live. Stay away from these people. Many of us have gotten tired of the Sunday morning meetings because of all the hypocrites and all the nonsense that goes on. And then on the other side, we hear that you're supposed to go to church for God and not because of other people. And church is like a hospital, and there's supposed to be, not well people there, and so on and so forth. And I absolutely agree with the church is supposed to be a hospital, but it's not supposed to be full of people that don't want to get well. I'll let that sink in a second. Plenty of false teachers and false prophets out there nowadays, and that's exactly what they're after, is what these scriptures say. They're after money. And for some of you, it's pretty easy to see who's after the money and who isn't. They stress tithing, they stress this. They put on good shows trying to want you to tithe. Pardon me. And it just becomes a circus. And there's no real love for God. And they act one way on Sunday and they act a whole nother way the rest of the week. And you wouldn't know that some of them are churchgoers the rest of the week if you hadn't seen them there yourself. This causes a lot of feelings in us. And I've had to deal with this myself over the past couple of weeks getting ready for this episode. It causes anger. You're just tired of it. You don't like it. You hate it. You want to talk bad about them. And there's no real reason to talk bad. We'll go into more depth in a later date between judging and knowing a tree by its fruits. The one instance where it says don't judge in Matthew 7 is not to condemn and sentence, but the other says you're supposed to know a tree by its fruit. And if a tree says it's an apple tree and it keeps popping out oranges, you know something's wrong. This is what we have to watch out for, is that anger, because it can turn into hatred and it can turn into bitterness. And then we wind up not seeking God's face at all because of all the morons that are attending Sunday morning meetings. That last line I stress, it says, stay away from these people. That's exactly what it means. Stay away from these people. You don't have to be around them. I want to read the last one now. Matthew 5:22. But I tell you, don't be angry with anyone. If you are angry with others, you will be judged. And if you insult someone, you will be judged by the high court. And if you call someone a fool, you will be in danger of the fire of hell. It tells us not to be angry, the long-term anger with these people who are acting like, I don't know, I was about to say fool, but that's not a good thing to say after I just read that, huh? These people that are not true, they're not serious. That anger builds up into bitterness after a while. And like I said, that bitterness, it pushes you away from God, because if these people represent God, why do you want anything to do with him? Well, they don't really represent him. These passages I've read to you tell you that these kind of people are going to come and that they're going to be there. And I'm sure the once saved, always saved crowd's going to jump on me. But did you notice where it said that he who endures until the end will be saved? Many believers will lose their faith. Many of them, their love will grow cold. In the previous episodes, if you haven't caught them, the first 2 or 3 we talked about love, and that being the principal thing in being a Christian and following Christ, is it was his love for us that took him to the cross, and it's supposed to be our love for one another that lets people know who we are. And if that love is canceled out by hate and by anger and by bitterness, we're going to lose so much in our relationship with God. It's imagine having a child who's angry and bitter all the time because their sibling acted like a knucklehead and they get mad at you about it. How easy is it going to be to talk to them? Are they going to want to hear from you? A child has to learn to let that go and realize that that sibling is that sibling. They might be the black sheep, and just let it go and talk to God anyway. I'm having to let go of a lot of anger and bitterness myself. A lot of places I've been that I used to use this thing a long time ago. They promised the sun, the moon, the stars, and $500,000 in cash, and all he gets a 50-pound bag of bat guano. You get tired of it, but don't let the anger get to you. Don't let the hatred get to you. It's time to let all of that go, to seek God for yourself. Seek his face for yourself. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Do you forsake the gathering, as I've said before? No. You find those who are of like mind, who may not be perfect, and get together and seek God's face. One thing that always amazed me, and I'll close with this, when we are trying to get together with other people, is we will readily admit we're not perfect. But how often do we expect others to be perfect? Is that a license for them to go off and do all kinds of stupidness? No. But we do have to give some grace and mercy. We mess up. Why can't we let others? Again, these passages will be in the comments. Read them in your favorite translation for yourself. Study them, pray about them, and see what God tells you.